Mini B is a miniature black hole, and essentially it uses ML to detect the words that you speak, and as you speak them, it types them
Wow.
out in space, and then they get sucked into a black hole to be banished for forever. So it's an easy way that anyone can use. You can basically get rid of anything, anywhere, whenever, wherever you want, essentially. So yeah, this was just, it was a simple idea that I just wanted to create to allow people to have like a black hole in their pocket so they could banish anything whenever they wanted to.
I love that. So anything that you can articulate that you want to remove or throw into the black hole, say it out loud, and you see it
Yeah,
disappear.
it's like a mini ritual
I
or
love
system.
it. So simple. I wanna
Thank
do
you.
it.
Thanks. You should try it. It's I built it on Lens Studio,
Okay.
so you launch it on Snapchat.
All right, what are we looking at here?
So the Future Garden was built for Snap's spectacles, which are their AR glasses. But essentially, it's a mini game where you are finding these magical seeds, essentially. And when you find these seeds, you plant them, and then each one gives you special abilities. It's using a bunch of really cutting edge technologies. It was one of the reasons that it was commissioned by Snap. But it's using like 3D hand technology as well as physics, like real-time physics, which is kind of a hard thing to do with glasses and that small like form factor. Another thing that it does that's kind of fun with the magical seeds is it uses something called single plane tracking. So what that means is in real time, it's actually scanning all of the surfaces in your environment, and then you can then interact with them. So you get a special seed at one point that allows you to plant flowers on any surface, regardless of whether it's horizontal or vertical. So you can plant seeds on the floor, a table, on the ceiling, on the wall, and totally customize your environment if you want. Which is a lot of fun. And then there's a series of, this is kind of like an elaborate, it's a mini game. There's like several parts to it. And you also unlock these face filters, which can be attached to other people in real time. So as you're having the experience and you find these special abilities, like other people begin to sort of like be integrated into this parallel universe. They appear as though they're part of it because of their face filters and like body tracking and stuff like that. So you're basically moving from one universe to another very slowly by doing specific tasks.
Old school artists would have to learn maybe one or two disciplines, painting or sculpting or sketching or whatever. Now,
Hmm.
just in this, I'm looking at you mentioned at the end there's 4 or 5 heavyweight pieces of software, Illustrator, Photoshop, Procreate, Blender. So did you learn all these? Like, and does that mean the barrier to entry is a little bit higher for XR art?
When I started dabbling in XR, I was like, oh yeah, this combines all of the things that I've been interested in, like storytelling, illustration, animation, 3D, surrealism, interactivity, audio, all that stuff, and allows me to combine all of my skills into one product.
That's
Um,
really well put. Yeah.
that said, there are a lot of ways that people can get into this if they have a specialty, right? There are lots of templates that are made for all of these software packages, which allow you to create really easily. So if you're not a developer, like you don't have to code to create XR. I feel like that's a misunderstanding. If you want to do super interactive, super complex stuff, yes, you will need something like JavaScript, for example, to enable you to do those sort of like complex things. Um, but I think anybody can play in this space. I sort of
Hmm.
feel like I've been given the coolest like package of crayons, and now I'm just getting to explore and see what they do. Like I don't know. I don't know what they do. Like let's just make some stuff and find out together. Like um
Yeah, when people think of even the term XR or AR, they think of developers. They don't think of artists and creatives. They think of engineers.
I'm both. I'm
So,
a designer and a developer. Um but uh but yeah, I don't think you have to anymore. About 6 years ago, the software landscape like totally changed. A series of different software packages were released that enabled me to make these things by myself. And I had that realization. And so I quit my job and I started exploring it full time. because I realized it was this timely thing, and I had this opportunity to like, I don't know, given all my previous experience and the current software that was available to me, I was like, yeah, I want to play and see what's possible. Like, um, so
So
yeah.
what were the one or two pieces of software that changed the landscape 6 years ago, would you say?
Well, the primary ones were Snap's Lens Studio, which I didn't discover until a couple of years later, but also Instagram's Spark AR. And the one that I first discovered was Adobe's Aero, is the name of it. And it emulates a lot of Adobe's products in that it has like a very typical layer structure. It has your asset panel properties, that sort of stuff, as well as like a 3D workspace that is very, very clear. There's no coding involved. It's a drag and drop kind of experience. And I could prototype and build really, really quickly and get very professional looking things very quickly. And so, yeah, it was a great experimental space to like work in.
Right. Can AI and art solve the climate crisis? Interesting. What are we looking at here?
Well, I came up with this project called Future Artifacts, which are essentially augmented reality artifacts from the future. And these artifacts are these solutions to very specific climate challenge issues that we have right now. And they solve these things in really inventive ways. So for example, through research, I discovered that insects are actually really good at processing and storing CO2. Like there's a lot of evidence of this, like mosquitoes, for example. And so I thought maybe we could have a biomechanical insect which is actually able to capture the CO2 in parts of the atmosphere that we can't necessarily reach, because these, we could develop them in such a way that they could, go places that human beings can't go. And then you could have these essential drone armies of little CO2 collecting bugs, which then drop the CO2 to the ground to be stored and gathered later. Like that's just one, but there are a series of these sculptures which all solve a very particular problem. Everything from the excessive heat in the ocean to the thawing permafrost in the Antarctic. And these are geolocated AR sculptures. This is an ongoing sort of work in progress piece where future versions of it are going to be sort of like hidden, like treasure at specific
Mm,
GPS locations. And when people find them, it's gonna be connected to the blockchain, so they're actually going to own like that particular sculpture. And
wow.
then there's like a monetary component too, like almost like Pokemon or something. Like there are values associated with these things. So I'm trying to create like a monetary component which can then gather money to be spent on actual climate crisis stuff. But it's kind of like a gamified thought experiment.
Love it.
Yeah,
I think that's a great place to end. Heather,
cool.
thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.